Hey guys, so I said that I was gonna show you guys how to make some easy bread because I know that right now is a time for us to be able to do communion, and you know it's really hard to go to the market, so I'm gonna make it really simple and very simple ingredients. So what I'm gonna do is you guys are gonna be able to see the ingredients and it's gonna be really simple. So you're gonna have just your 6 cups of flour. You're gonna have any type of salt that you have, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, any type of oil that you want, and you're gonna have 1.5 tablespoons of your yeast. This is the kind of yeast that I use, so you can use any type of yeast that you want. If you don't want to use yeast, you don't have to. There is a lot of people that don't like to use yeast, but it does rise better with yeast. And then you're going to have 2/3 of sugar, any type of sugar. You can actually use sugar substitute as well. And then we're gonna have 6 cups of flour. You're gonna actually take a little bit of extra flour, and that flour is just so that you can lay it on your board or you can lay it on your table, so that way you can be able to use it so it doesn't stick onto your roller after. So another thing that you're gonna need is you're gonna need 2 cups of warm water. It has to be warm, guys. It's really, really important that you do use warm water. Now, there's 2 different methods of doing it. There's one for you to be able to use it on your mixer, your mixing machine. That's the way that I'm gonna do it today. Or you can actually do it by hand if you get yourself a really good size bowl and mix it by hand. It's a lot of work though, I will tell you that. And you can start it off with a basic old school, but you're gonna have to stop at one point so that way you can do it by hand. But I would suggest that you either do it by hand or you do it by a mixer. The other things that you will be needing some type of spray, or you can use shortening as well. I love to use shortening as well, but for the sake of keeping my hands kind of clean, I'm gonna use a spray today. You will need your bread pan. You can use any size of bread pan. I'm gonna be actually cutting mine down, so I'm gonna use a smaller bread pan because I'm actually gonna make a few loaves. And I like to take an egg because I like to do an egg wash because I like to have a really nice brown to the top of my crust. And for my bread, I'm actually going to do some harvest nuts. And this is really nice because what I did is I took some raw nuts, and these are the raw nuts here. What you take is different. These are different raw nuts that I have here. And what you do is you roast them. I ended up roasting them, and you take different types of raw nuts, and I'm gonna end up using these raw nuts and actually make it into like a harvest bread, and it tastes so delicious. You can actually roast them in coconut oil, you can roast them in any type of oil that you want, and it tastes really, really delicious. So what we're gonna do to start it off, we're actually gonna take your warm water, you're gonna take your sugar, and you're gonna take your yeast. And you're actually gonna mix it. And you're gonna see it bubble up. Can you guys see that bubble up? So you just keep on mixing it. And once that's mixed in really, really good, you're gonna let it sit for 5 minutes. And you're gonna cover it. Cover it for 5 minutes, and you're just gonna leave it there for 5 minutes. Okay guys, so it's been 5 minutes. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the towel off, and you're gonna see that it's bubbled up. Can you see that? It's bubbled up, and we're gonna go ahead and put this into our bowl. Now that that's in our bowl, we get that ready. And we're gonna drop our salt in there. And make sure that all of it gets in there. And our oil. And we're gonna start mixing that. And we're gonna start getting our flour ready. But what we want to do is start putting our flour in 1 cup at a time. It's going to be messy, so I hope you have your apron on. And I always like to have a little towel, that way I can clean things off as I go. Starting to thicken up. The consistency of a dough. I'm just gonna make it easier here. And your machine's gonna kind of thicken up a little. Don't think your machine's breaking or anything. Your dough is ready. And what I would do is I would actually ball it up while it's still inside, just to make sure you got it all in there. See, if you were doing this by hand, that's why it's sometimes better to do it by machine, because if you were doing this by hand, you'd be doing that all by hand. And sometimes it's so much easier. And you're probably going to get a little bit of flour still at the bottom, which is okay because you're going to need that so it doesn't stick. And this is what you have this extra flour for. Get myself all dirty here. And don't forget that we're going to end up having to get this to rise. So we're going to end up putting it back into a bowl. you want to kind of break it up, bring it back forward. This is called kneading it. You build a muscle doing this. So the best thing to do is to have a good sized bowl, because you got to remember that this is going to rise. And you want to spray your bowl before you put it in there. You want to make sure that the towel that you have is damp. So make sure you dampen it up. I would damp it up with a little bit of warm water, because you have to place this somewhere where it's not cold. So do not put it in the fridge or do not do anything like that. And then you're just gonna lay it somewhere and just leave it there. And we'll see you back in 2 hours, okay? Hey guys, okay, so now we're back and we let it rise. Yeah, look at that. It grew. This baby is ready. Okay, so what we want to do is we're gonna go ahead, splash a little bit of flour. And oh, and by the way, look what I did while we were waiting for it to rise. I made a turkey pot pie. Yep, I did that. If you guys want to learn how to make the crust and how to make something like that, let me know. I'll teach you guys how to do that as well. It's pretty cool. All right, so look at that. That's pretty baby. Okay, put that to the side. And so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go ahead and fix her up and get her ready for our pan, okay? And what I wanna do is I wanna cut her up in 2 pieces, because that's kind of really big for that pan. And because I told you guys that I want to add some nuts, I'm going to actually add my little center to it. And now this is where you don't have to do this, but I want to do this because I kind of like taste on my bread. You can just do it plain, but we're gonna go ahead and you gotta grease your pan, whatever pan you're gonna use. Like I said, you can use whichever one you want. You're gonna add it in there. And for me, I'm gonna do an egg wash, okay? So, you can use a fork, you can use whatever you want, you can use a little whisk. And here's a little idea. If you wanted to make your bread a little bit sweeter, you can always add a little bit of cinnamon to this, a little bit of vanilla, and you can actually make this a sweet, and you can add a little bit of that into this, and you can actually wash it with a sweet egg wash. So you take a little brush and you egg wash And you don't have to do this, but I mean, I like bread to be nice and brown. So it's gonna have that nice little crisp on the outside. It's gonna look really pretty. So now here's my little take on it. I like to add the little nuts in the middle. And it kind of gives it that artisan type of look to the bread. And there's your bread. So now we're gonna go ahead and put this in the oven. You're gonna put it in the oven at 375, and you're gonna put it in there for a good maybe about 30 minutes or so, and then till golden brown. You keep a look at it, and because every oven is different, so you gotta make sure that you see it rise, and once you see it rise, you see it to a golden brown. You'll know, trust me, you'll know how you're gonna like it actually. So put it in there, and I'll come back to you guys, and we'll see once our bread is done. Okay? All right. Okay, so I am done. We are done. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out. And I'll let you come closer. Some of the nuts came off. This one's a little bit hot, and I don't have a glove for this. I'm gonna leave it in there because I don't want to burn myself. But I made an extra one, you guys. I made a plain one so you guys can see, and I made it braided. And this is sort of like a braided bread. As you can see, I don't want to burn myself. I need gloves, honey. You need to buy me some gloves. But this is a braided one, and this is just plain, and this is more of the artisan one that I told you guys about. So that's it, guys. It's better to take it out of the pan immediately. Now the reason why you want to be able to take it out of the pan immediately is because you don't want it to sweat inside of the pan, because if you leave it inside the pan, it'll actually sweat and it'll get stuck in there. So that's why it's best to take it out of there as soon as possible. Guys, you have your bread there. Let me, I'm gonna cut a piece for you guys just so you guys can kind of see what the bread looks like. Look at that. So pretty. Look at that. Well, guys, there you go. So if you can't find any bread in the market, make your own bread. You guys enjoy it. Enjoy it with your family. Put some butter on it and have fun with it. See you guys later. Take care.